Yep, good. That's
Top down there.
I'll keep it as well, I'll let you know, see, it's never free. I'll keep
right. Do we have this somewhere close that you can refer to it? No?
He's missing one.
You're gonna have to cuddle up. I don't know how you're gonna share.
Even if you just get a bit closer, you can reference it.
Unless you can catch what I'm saying and take notes. Otherwise, I'm just gonna go through this and then do it that way. But for the people who are here, if you don't have one of these, we'll try and get one to you at some point, so you can have it all the time. So today we're going to do mortgages, and I don't know. I don't have a mortgage myself, but I've found some ways of how to deal with it, just by reading the paperwork and knowing how the process works. Everything is trust in corporations, as we say all the time. And I'll explain with the three triangles. That's a trap that keeps you locked up so you don't ascend. And the trap is politics, culture, and religion. Yeah. And if you are someone who subscribes to these things, you end up in you end up in this. Okay? You become a box head. That's why you say if you want to be creative, you have to think outside the box. So that is the box. If you need to be creative, you need to think outside religion, culture, and politics. And then you be thinking outside the box. But that's a trap. As long as you're doing one or two of these things, or three of these things, you'll always have limitations. So the point is to get away from it. This one here is trust. This is what's being run. Because everything is trust. There's a triangle as well. Up here you have the grantor, or the testator, who puts property into a trust. Somebody order food? So grantor is up there. Then you have a trustee who runs the trust for the benefit of the beneficiary. So those are the three branches of a trust, if you will. Now, the trustee, the only condition of a trust is there have to be two people minimum. Two. Because that creates a corporation. As soon as you have two people, you have a corporation. That's a trust. But the only condition is that trustee cannot run a trust for their own benefit. Okay? That's it. Otherwise, it becomes a business. Right? So what these people are doing is they're running your trust for their benefit. But you're the true beneficiary. So you need to let them know or put them notice that that name that they're running account on belongs to you and you're the beneficiary of it. You see? But they claim that status and make you a trustee of your own name. So that's the entire game anyway. So as long as you're not made trustee of your own name, you're not liable for anything. Okay? This one here is authority. Because they claim to be some sort of authority, and we say, where do you derive it from? And they can never explain it. But according to their system, the place was created by something called God. So G is number one. So I'd say that's number one. So God created this plane that we live in, and then God got bored and he said, let me create something else. And what did he create? He created man. You see. So authority, God created man, man created corporation. So this is where the corpse are. This man is alive. This is a corpse. It's dead. It's the opposite of live. So that's what it is. So corpse can never have authority over man, because man is living and corpse is dead, and man can never have authority over God. But what's happened now is they've swapped this round, and they say to you that a corporation can run you, and they own you, which is ridiculous, you see, because they can never ever have authority over you unless you consent to it. So that's where consent comes in. And their consent is by implication, it's not expressed. So what they're going to do is they're going to trick you to giving you consent. So it could be a simple thing as what you do. Could you please get out of your car and stand there? And if you do that, that implies consent and that you're under that jurisdiction. So that's what this means. This one is more symbolic of how to look at symbols. So you're going to see that in the advertising, they're going to change their A to become a vector always. And it's very surprising, you can Google all the time and you see all these ads with a vector. You're going to see the symbol as well, which is the O. So it's alpha and omega. That's what it means. Alpha and omega, the symbol is always made into a sun or varied in a name. Same with this one. As above, so below. And that's what it is. Eye of Horus and the black sun on the other side. That's what it is. Okay? So apart from that, we're going to go into mortgage. And we're going to show you how to take your mortgage more or less. I don't know how people lose their houses, because this thing is very straightforward, as far as I can see. Okay? So
What's that
mortgage,
symbolically to do with?
I'm sorry?
What are those alpha and omega to do?
Right. The symbology is to let you know that they're using metaphysical energy to deprive you of your energy.
But which one do they represent about what you're saying that they represent?
Well, which one? The vector is an A.
Yeah.
So they're going to write their vectors in this, what do you call them? Their logos to identify that they know what this is, and that's the energy they're using. You see. But if you don't know what that is, then it's going to pass you, and you're going to wonder why you are attracted to certain products. But it's a symbol that are used to reach your subconscious.
Yes.
And once they reach your subconscious, they can manipulate you. You see, language in this words is a very small portion. Most of our language is not written, it's spoken. It's very symbolic, because one symbol could be 1,000 words. Like this symbol is very powerful. Just circle, even that symbol. Well, that's the primary one. That starts everything. And from there, it's cell division. It becomes 2, and then it becomes 4, and then you carry on like that. So the symbology is more the subconscious. You need to know that your subconscious is being attacked. Well, they might put something in front that you think is real. There's something behind it always. So when these advertisers send, sorry, I should turn this thing off. So when the advertisers send you their stuff, you just look at it and see. As long as you know what's there, then you can prevent it. So it's about symbology. Things mainly right now, I mean, there's a whole bunch of them, but these are the main ones you want to look for.
Acorn for Equator.
Equator?
I've got an acorn now.
You have an acorn. We know about the acorn, right, don't we? It represents the pineal gland, right? Because you have the 3. If you go up your spine to the top, you're going to have the 3. So you get the pineal gland, hypothalamus, and pituitary. And the pine cone is represented by the pineal gland. But with the pineal gland, if you are able to, sorry guys, no. Just turn it off. Yeah, yeah. If you're able to do the point of your existence is for you to raise yourself, your consciousness from here, which is root chakras down here, all the way up here. You see, and that's the only thing you're supposed to do on this plane, is to elevate yourself, turn yourself from lead to gold. You're not here to pay people's debts, all these fake liabilities. The only thing you're here to do is to advance yourself, to gain your spiritual knowledge, so that you can graduate into the next level. But this is not it. This is not everything. This is a very small portion of the entire thing. Okay? So the symbols is just that. Look at the advertising. So you can start knowing what symbol means what, and then you can put a block on it, you see. Because they're killing you on symbols, and they're killing you on language as well.
I just ask you what ICSI, ICSI, IXXI, 9/11.
Yeah, they do that just for all time.
What's that one?
This is the symbol of Azazel.
Yeah.
Of what?
Azazel. That's the symbol.
What's that?
Which is a fallen angel. Yeah, that's what this is. We just removed the,
Yeah, got it. Straight away, yeah.
it's numbers as well, so that's 1. X is what, 10? Yeah.
X is 10,
10
minus
2
1 is
10
9.
1, 1989.
That's 9/11, that is.
It's 9/11, that's what it is, it's called something earlier.
Yeah. So I can write something like that. This is what they do all the time. So instead of writing 9/11, they're going to do that.
It's the energy they're using, yeah.
And because your subconscious is gonna figure it out anyway. If I write an A like this, it doesn't matter. Your subconscious is an A. Yeah. So that's all the trick they're using is the symbols. So I can write my name in letters and then convert that to numbers and then send you something with numbers on it, with my name on it, but you don't know it's my name. But that's the energy I put in it. Okay? So you can use this stuff all the time. They're using symbols to manipulate the situation. All right? So, away from that, mortgages, right? Mortgages are debt pledge. We know that by now, because mort is mort. That's dead, mort. So you have rigor mortis, you have the mortuary, the morgue. Mort is dead, right? So mortgage is debt pledge. So you pledge yourself to that. Right, that's where it is. Right. So the most important thing you have to remember about mortgage is this. Land can only be transferred between, as they call it, persons living, you see. So a living man has to transfer property to another living man, right? Because property is inheritance. A corporation is a dead, it's here. It cannot transfer anything, you see. So how is it possible that a bank can transfer property? There has to be a man in the bank who's going to sign a document as a man and say, yeah, and all this stuff, and then they can put that document in. That's the only way they can do it. But they never sign anything. And that's how you're going to win all your cases all the time. Because they haven't, it's not, the mortgage is not a genuine agreement. Okay, it's a void contract from the beginning. There is no mortgage to start with. That's the thing you have to raise to these people. When they claim a mortgage against you, you have to, prove there's a mortgage then. They cannot do it. We've done this for a few years now. I've been doing mortgages since 2015. I haven't received one correspondence from the bank of the things that we asked for. And we asked for the agreement, for instance, assignment, notice of assignment, deed of assignment, any securitization audit, all these things you need, because it's your mortgage, remember that. You have every right to ask for any document concerning that account, because you created it, you see, but they never reveal. As long as they don't reveal or disclose information, they cannot proceed. That is why I don't know how people get foreclosed on, you see, because you stop them on that, non-disclosure, and they can't move, okay? So we have to understand the difference between law and statutes as well, because law is law. It's been there forever. Thou shalt not kill, it's not going to change. But statutes change every day, but they're not law. They're rules and regulations of a private corporation. So if they don't like it today, they're going to change it tomorrow. And they'll carry on like that.
They're also for people that have registered to vote as well, not for us.
Yeah, statutes are for corporate fictions only, by the way. Okay? All statutes apply on corporate fictions only. They only apply on your legal fictions, but that's a corporate fiction. So statutes don't apply on the man. They apply on corporations only. That is why a corporation is created in your name, so that their corporation can do business with your corporation.
Yeah.
Because they cannot do business with you, because you're higher than them. Okay? So that's the trick. They're always putting you down here in their jurisdiction. Your point is to stay here as man. And that's the word that you need to use, because Satan's job is to convince, is to destroy man. Right? And we mean that literally in the word, that the word man in your documents and the contracts will be changed to become person. That's what you're trying to avoid all the time. Because once the man has been converted to a persona, to a person, you lose all your natural rights. So that's the trick, to destroy this word, man. So make sure all your contracts, you identify yourself as that, as man, all the time. living man, you see, whose body moves and flesh runs. You see, you're a living being who's created in the image of the creator of all things. That's the point. You're not created in the image of the Crown Corporation. No, that's a different story. All right? So, law is law, statutes are statutes. When they try to foreclose on you, they're going to apply something called special proceedings. These are statutory proceedings, right? What you want is ordinary proceedings, which go under the common law of the land. That's what you're looking for all the time. So when they try to foreclose on you, they're going to try and foreclose under a statute, right? But the mortgages are under the common law, and you can stop them at that point. All mortgages are under common law. Why? Because it's common law of the land. All mortgages have to do with the land, you see, with this land. The statutes are mercantile law, admiralty, have to do with laws of the sea, right? Because your house is not in the sea. It's in the land. So the common law of the land applies always, you see. So all mortgages are under common law, right? So it's an agreement. In fact, I won't go into that. I'm going to go to the solutions part, so you can see how you can do it before I go further and explain where it is. So we'll do the solutions first, and then we'll explain what the banks do. Right. So solution number one that I found out is that everyone who has a birth certificate, that's your socialization numbers or socialist numbers, is going to have a loan number. That is your account. It's a prepaid account that's held by Treasury. So you can use that account to discharge your mortgage, right? So number one, what you do is this. So you use your socialist number. What you do is issue a notice of discharge. So it's a notice under common law. You don't do anything until you've issued a notice. So under common law, you're going to issue them a notice.
Are you talking about national insurance?
No. Birth certificate.
What do you use? Do you use your birth certificate?
So I'm saying, birth certificate for the mortgage.
It's got the number on the side of it, you'll see it.
Yeah. So your birth certificate is going to have a number in it. That's the exemption number that you can use to offset the mortgage. Right? So what you do is, you write out a notice of discharge stroke set-off of the mortgage against your exemption. And you serve a copy on the bank and a copy on Treasury with an opening letter of explaining what you're doing. All right? That's it. That's number one.
Does it work? Does that work?
Right.
Honestly, I don't have a mortgage myself, but that's
We've done it already. We did something similar in February and not even fine.
The reason for that is this. The reason you can use the exemption is because the country is bankrupt.
That's right.
Right? The reason there is no money anymore. Money is gold and silver. Right? You have two accounts or two monies. One is money of exchange and one is money of account. The money of exchange is gold and silver. Now, they have something called the Bankruptcy Act, when the country went bankrupt, okay? And then they removed 1925, I think, Gold Standards Act, 1925 removed gold from circulation. So there is no money, right? The country is in administration. You cannot pay off a debt, you can discharge a debt. So in order for you to be competent, you need to know how to discharge charges. That's all there is to it. So this is a discharge. That's one way of discharging a charge. The mortgage is a charge. You use the exemption to discharge the charge. All right? So that's one. Is that straightforward?
It's hard to believe that you do that. It's hard to believe.
I know. I'm
Balance.
saying this stuff is so simple that it's unbelievable. So I'm saying, how can somebody lose the mortgage?
That's what I mean. We've already done it. Ron did it. We did it before.
but-
We've already done it.
But I tried to do it for my teeth and it didn't work.
T-phone.
My teeth.
Or mortgage.
I tried to discharge my teeth.
You can do that with an insurance number.
Yeah, I didn't do it though.
Anyway, that's...
Yeah.
I don't know.
So when you say you've done that,
Yeah, but Ron's already done it. We did it in February, and not happened since back then.
how long ago was that?
February, that was February this year. We're now in July. And you got knocked back from HMRC. It was HMRC.
Like,
I don't want to get
if you
this
do it properly,
properly.
if you do it properly, it's going to
Yeah.
go through. I've done this stuff. I'm not talking about... Anyway,
Okay, yes.
I'm going to carry on, okay? I'm going to carry on. Number two, you can use a promissory note, right? However, with these promissory notes, that's a statutory way of doing it. You have to understand statutory is legal fiction. If you're going to use a statutory legal fiction world to do this stuff, you need some numbers in there, because that's all they do is numbers. So if you're going to use a promissory note, you need to use some acts, and which section of which act are you relying on? You see, there's a Bill of Exchange Act that's there that you can go through and find which section applies to promissory notes or Bill of Exchange. And then do it that way. However, if you're going to use that way, you need the numbers. The more important one is called the Rules of the Supreme Court. I don't have the number here myself, but there's a rule of the Supreme Court that you can use to put in there to deal with mortgages. Okay? So that's number 2, the promissory note. Number 1 is a set-off, notice of set-off. Number 2 is a promissory note. So that's for the full amount, if you wish. Number 3 is, in fact, lien. It's called a proprietary lien. That works as well. Similar to a mechanic's lien. The way it works is this: if you take your car to the mechanics and they do some repairs on it, and you can't afford to pay it, they're going to hold the car until you figure out how to pay it. Same thing with the house. When you move to a house, it's empty, there's nothing in there, right? You put so much money and time to make it habitable, and then they want to kick you out. You have a right to draft out a schedule of losses which itemizes all your costs and expenses and give it to them. And say, cool, you can have your house back, could you please pay me what you owe me? And I'm going to lien on the house. You put a proprietary lien on that amount, on that property as well. That's one way of doing it. So if you owe them £107,000 and you've been there 10 years, 7 years, you've spent a lot of money in the house. So you itemize everything. If you put handles, every carpet, you painted it, all that, you itemize it, and say, fine, you can have your house back if you pay me the money I put in to make it habitable. Banks, they won't come. So when you draft your agreements, you give specific time. So you have to do this within 2 weeks or 1 month or whatever. If they go beyond that time, they're default. They can come back after that. That's the problem, you see. So put them in the places like that. So that's number 3.
Mr. Private bond.
Sorry. A proprietary lien, and then we go, that's number 4. And then private bond, that's another way as well. You as a living man, you have every authority to create a bond. You see? So you can create a bond for £1 billion and send it to Treasury. This is to offset all future liabilities, all future public liabilities, all of them. You see, and you put a list on it. So it's going to set everything off. Your mortgage, your parking tickets, your electricity, your gas, everything. So they can go and take this piece of paper and go and do what they do with it, and cash it, and then they won't bother you again. So that's an option as well. You can issue a private bond with your name, because you're the people don't understand how much power they have. You're the living essence of everything. Nothing happens without you. Without you, there is no mortgage. If you didn't go to the bank and sign a piece of paper, there would be no mortgage. You see, so you need to run that. You're on. You become competent in your business, and you run it yourself the way you want to run it. Okay. So as a competent someone, you have the authority to create bonds, which are negotiable instruments, and to say that I give you this bond to offset all future public liabilities. Okay. If you're looking for wording for this stuff, there's stuff on YouTube now. What we are doing is we're using the style manuals when you construct contracts now, because we know deception is in the language. Their contracts are void because they're using a language that doesn't exist. You see, so all your mortgage contracts can be voided on language only before even you breach anything. You can just take the agreement and void it for fraudulent use of language, and tell them that their contract means nothing because of the way they've constructed it. You see, that's another way of getting rid of a mortgage. You see, it's called fraudulent use of language or fraudulent use of grammar. You see, so that's promissory note. Another one is what I do is to claim the property. That's the process I use, and I do it all the time. We have a 5-letter process over about 2.5 months. So the first letter is to ask them for this information. I need to see the assignment, agreement, conveyance, all these things that you need to see regarding your mortgage. If you don't respond, you give them a notice of non-response. That's the second letter. It goes in about a month and a half in. Third one, you give them a notice of commercial dishonor because they haven't responded to the 2 previous letters. That's 3 pieces of evidence. Then you write a letter of claim, where you claim the house and say, I claim this house. I claim it belongs to me, I paid for it on this day, I don't owe you any money. What do you think about it? I need your rebuttal within so many days. If you don't rebut, you agree with me that I own the house. And that's when we put them in a tight spot. If they don't rebut, then they agree with you. What you do is draft an affidavit, we get it notarized, we're going to serve it on land registry, we're going to put it in the public arena that you own the house and there's no objection from the bank. That's another way of doing it. You see. Okay. Another one as well, when you move against them, if you know the fraud, we're gonna explain it in paper. Once you know the fraud, you can write a letter of claim to the bank manager and say, I've discovered a fraud in your mortgage. Here it is, and explain what is done. And say, if you don't correct it, I'm gonna go to the police and say, and make a criminal complaint against you for fraud. Okay? That's another way of doing it. And the last one is counterclaim instead of a defense, you see. Because the error is this. Everyone that's got a mortgage, when they try to foreclose on you, where do they go? Which court? Cant's court. They go to Cant. The Cant court is not jurisdiction over people or man. It's like a magician's court. The county court doesn't have any jurisdiction over mortgages. That's chancery, if anything, you see. So instead of people arguing in that venue, because as soon as you start arguing in that venue, you've accepted the jurisdiction, and you've accepted your legal fiction, which they're going to go into a trust account and collect money from it. That's all they're doing. It's administrative, right? What you're meant to do is put in a counterclaim, you see. So they claim that they loaned you money. Your counterclaim is what? No, I think there's an error. I loaned you money. And leave it at that. I want my money back. They want £100,000, you want £200,000. That's it, because you loaned them the money. They never give you a cent. So that's the counterclaim, all right? If you want a counterclaim, not in that venue though, you need to transfer it first of all. First thing you need to transfer it to the proper jurisdiction. So as soon as they give you notice of foreclosure, you're going to let them know that the Cant's court does not have jurisdiction over such matters, like a mortgage, right? Please transfer this matter to the proper jurisdiction of the Chancery Division of the High Court. That's it. If they do take it to the High Court, which they won't, because they have no jurisdiction there, they won't take it. And if they won't take it, then the case is finished. You're not going to deal with it in the lower courts. They have no jurisdiction, you see. So your counterclaim is that. I gave you money. Yep. So who's going to prove that? How are they going to prove it? There has to be disclosure. So what you do is you ask the bank to produce the auditing to show who gave the money to whom. Because they have accounts. That's their job, right? So they should have accounts. And the accounts should show that the bank took money, their own money, and gave it to you at a risk. Yeah. That's the only way they can say that they lent you money. Because in our documents you're asking them, who is the true lender? They won't even answer that simple question. Who is the true lender? You are the true lender. And you never knew it. You own the entire mortgage. If you look at your mortgage, there's no other signatures except you and your wife. There's two of you. There's a unilateral agreement. Where's the bank's signature? They're not in the contract. That's why the bank never forecloses on you. They send somebody else, loan management or whoever. Somebody else is going to come and try to foreclose on you, not the bank.
If they lodge with the land registry the fact that they've got a lien on it,
I'm sorry?
if they lodged with land registry,
Who?
the bank,
Okay. You need to check the documents, because the land registry documents, the ones I've seen, say the mortgage is paid. And it said the date when it was paid. Yeah?
was it?
Yeah.
Land registry documents
Yes.
and mortgage
Yes.
paid?
Yeah. All of them. And it says when it was paid, and in what amount. So that's the document you use as your evidence to your claims.
What document's that then?
I don't know what number it is, but it's a land registry document.
Are you talking about the deeds of the house? saying
No,
that-
not the deed. There's a land registry document that they send out to people, and it says it's been paid.
It's the old
Yes,
one.
yesterday,
Yeah.
I rang the land registry, am I with me?
Yeah,
What did they say?
Her mortgage has been paid.
thank you. I keep saying, now, if the money has been paid, what the hell are they asking you for? I said to you,
They said,
when,
however, there's a charge upon it to.
That's what they're doing, man. They're
whoever.
doing it. That's right. That's
exactly.
what they're doing.
So that's what you do. Mortgage is paid, guys. Don't be confused. The mortgage is paid. What happens is this. Anyway, I was going to explain. The mortgage is, the explanation is afterwards. We're going to do solutions and we explain what the mortgage, what the trick is. But the point is the mortgage was paid when you closed, guys. Okay?
Yeah, when you signed the
Yeah.
thing, yeah.
That's when it was closed. That's when you own the house from that point. What you do is they make you sign twice. So you sign first of all to own the house.
Yeah.
They give you another piece of paper and you sign it as a renter. Make yourself a renter to your own property. And then give them the job to service their account. So what you're supposed to pay them is just a servicing fee. What they're meant to do is to go and get the money from the renter and take it to the homeowner. So come to you and get the money and take it to you. Yeah.
Like I said,
Yeah,
Paul.
yeah, that's what it's supposed to do. But they don't do that. They take the money and keep it for themselves. Because they're a bunch of crooks. In any case, all mortgages are paid off at closing. There's no question about it. We know that. That's why you sign a promissory note. And that promissory note is converted to legal tender and given back to you. Okay? To keep it simple, that's what happens. You go to the bank today, they have no money, they have no sack of money to give you. They say to you, sign this piece of paper, right? You sign the piece of paper. They're gonna take the piece of paper and convert it to legal tender and say, come back next week. Next week, they give you the same amount of money, your money, but in legal tender, there you go. Now pay us back with interest. They're gonna give you back your money, and they're gonna ask you to pay back your money with interest. So that's a trick, that's a fraud. So this is what you write to the bank manager and say, explain to you what you did. You did this, this, what do you think about it? I need you to answer this in so many days. And there's no answer. Not a single bank has come back with anything.
So just gonna ask, so what is the promise? Is it the application form or?
It's the agreement.
Is it, what is?
You see, when you sign an agreement, there's no security to the agreement. I can say I'm going to do all these things, but there's no agreement, you see. So when you put the promissory note, that's
Part of the agreement.
the agreement. Now, they go together. Now this mortgage is secured by this agreement, and they're supposed to stay together. So that when it's assigned, whoever is going to get it gets two documents, you see. So it's like a car. When you go to buy a car, what these guys are doing is this. They're selling a car, I'm the bank. I'm going to sell him. I say, oh, see, do you want a car? Yes. Oh, give me £100, here's the keys. Oh, thank you, goodbye. And I go to him. Do you want a car? I'll give me $100, here's the title. And then I disappear. Yeah. Now who owns the car? He's got a title, he's got the key. Who owns the car?
Neither of you.
Same with the mortgage. They've separated the title and the mortgage, the promissory note and the agreement, you see. So nobody knows who actually owns the mortgage.
They should always be along.
Together, yeah, it's called bifurcation. When you separate notes, it's called bifurcation. Once you do that, it becomes invalid. And that's about it.
Verification.
So, bifurcation, it should be in here. We're gonna get to it anyway. I think I wrote it down. Yeah, but so those are the solutions, okay? Before I carry on, is that clear, or do I need to go back on one of these? So there are promissory, where is it? Exemption, birth certificate, promissory note, private bond, proprietary lien, affidavit of information, so you make a claim for fraud against the bank manager, and the counterclaim. You see, so far, there's one more, but I didn't get it down. So are those clear, or do I need to go back to one of these before I carry on?
How do you go about creating a bond?
A bond?
Yes.
If you go to Google, it's going to give you a whole bunch of information. How to create a bond. These days, information is easy. Just go, how do I create a bond?
The easiest one is to get the birth certificate, and then do the certificate and put it on the other side. That's the easiest.
Yeah, but it's not difficult. But you're going to have to use bond paper when you create bonds.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. It's a bond.
That's the Basildon bond, do it.
Yeah, it has to be in a bond paper.
Okay.
Yeah. But you're going to beautify it and make it nice and sweet. But if you go on images in Google, then you can see various ones, and you can choose how you want to customize yours. But the wording on the bond has to be specific. So everything is on the wording of what you say on it. They won't give you legal advice. Sometimes they send stuff back, but they won't tell you what's wrong with it. And you think, oh, it doesn't work, because you missed a number or something, or you said, they won't tell you what's wrong with it. But the thing is to perfect it. Once you perfect it, then you can send it out all the time.
And the simpler you keep it, the better.
Exactly. Keep it very, very simple.
Because what we've already done, we sent most people a promissory note. Of course, they said we don't accept this, but they didn't send it back to us. But they still want.
Which means they've accepted it. If they don't send it back.
I know they're making use of it.
Right. The only way they can send it back is if they cite a deficiency or dishonor. That's it. If they don't cite it, then they accept it. What you're meant to do is follow up and say, since you've accepted the promissory note, I expect that you won't write to me again. And if you write to me again, I'm going to take it as harassment and you're trying to defraud me and all this other stuff, because I know you're trading
Would
it.
we do that rather than try and pay them again with something else or do something else?
Is that for a
Or should we
mortgage?
just follow up
Yes,
on
it
it?
is.
Think of it like this: if you paid for something, would you go and pay for it again?
No.
It's as simple as that.
But the thing is, what they did say was that when we did send in the promissory note,
Yep.
they sent us a letter
Yep.
to say that, oh, we don't accept promissory notes.
Yeah. But we're going to keep it anyway. Yeah, fair enough.
They kept it and they said they don't accept
That means
promissory
they've
notes.
accepted it.
And then they stated how much it was that was still outstanding on the mortgage.
Right. Did you have an allonge with the promissory note?
Did I have
An allonge.
You have to
a
explain that.
lounge?
You send a promissory note with attached to an allonge,
Yeah, what is
which
it?
explains what the law is and how they're going to accept it. And if they don't accept it, what violations of the law they've done.
No, I don't think we did.
Well, you got to send a promissory note with an allonge.
Okay. Yes. There was a letter that was attached with it.
It's called an allonge. It explains why they have to
Yes,
accept
yes,
it.
yes, yes.
It also explains that if they return it, it means they've accepted it anyway.
Yes, there was. Yes, there
See?
was.
So once you've done that, it's just you follow up whatever you say you're going to do in your agreements. You see, that's all. But I mean, promissory notes, you can create one every day if necessary. If they say, oh, you didn't accept this one, okay, here's another one then. Yeah, but promissory notes, they work. The trouble is because they're statutory instruments. You see, that's the trouble. I tend not to use them anymore because it's statutes. I try to avoid statutes completely because that's the legal fiction world. You see, we try to keep away from that stuff. We try to remain in here, in the real world, not this fiction. Yeah.
A couple of things. One, the way you were saying about the way they do money, create mortgages,
Yep.
seems to be like a micro factor of the way they create money, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And that's
Same-
like the
same
treasury
process.
bond sends it there, and then they come back with the notes that
Same process with
and it seems to be exactly the same process on micro,
yeah,
right? The other thing is it's all about competence.
exactly.
You know, I mean, I've been doing this for years, but honestly, I don't feel myself I can work it. I'm just, you know, I've got to say, I'm incompetent to deal with this. I understand it, but I just can't get the head
I
of
mean,
it.
the thing with us is because we've done this for a minute, we know what the trick is.
Right.
And the trick is in the language.
Yeah.
See, people get involved in the subject matter. Don't get involved in subject. The trick is the language.
Well, I
That's
feel
all.
like I understand everything, but
You don't.
I don't.
Because we are subconscious, like I said. If you write an A like this, your subconscious is going to turn it around to make sense of it. That's what you do all the time.
Yeah.
I can write you some stuff that doesn't make sense, but because you're smart, your brain's going to fill in the spaces. And to you it's going to make sense, because it has to make sense. Because your brain works like that.
And it feels like some type of black magic because I'm so good at learning. I'm a very clever guy. I learn loads of stuff. Right?
You need to know how
I
to
want
spell.
this and I can't bloody work
You
it.
need to know how to spell. You see, that's it.
All right, not you do.
That's it. You need to know how to spell. Yeah.
Another question. Your promissory notes have to be notarized before you send them, or can you just send promissory notes without it?
You don't need to notarize a promise,
Yeah,
no.
but it's better if you do that.
You see, you can notarize it yourself.
Or the post
Oh, do you mean the public notary? Or yourself? This is a notarization. When you put your thumbprint, that's a notary. Yeah,
But you can get the post office to witness it as well.
yeah. You get post office to witness it. You get a public notary to witness it. Okay, everything is private, right? When you use a public notary, and you're going to use their fake public courts, if you use one of their people, it's very strong. That's why we use the notaries, so they can accept our documents in their jurisdiction. That's been signed by one of their people. That's the only reason. But you can notarize the documents yourself. Yeah, put your seal on it, and that's notary. Yeah.
So, Troy, just give one from your solution so far. Which do you think has been the most effective?
Oh boy, the most effective. The one I do is
Most successful.
I claim the property.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's a process that we do. So we write to them and ask them for disclosure. We give them second notice, and then we write a notice of commercial dishonor. That because you failed to disclose, I cannot keep paying you the mortgage. That's it, and then we stop in honor. So give them notice before you stop paying. And you're going to explain why you're going to stop paying, which is all this stuff here. You're going to explain what they did with your account, and then ask them for a rebuttal. If they don't rebut, it means that claim stands.
Yeah.
And that's how we go.
Do they still take you to court though, or do they still try to take you to court?
See, because I have no mortgage, I'm working with people, and it's on their time. Right now we have no court case, not yet, you see. But if they try, it'll be sweet. Let them try.
I did everything you said. It took me about 2 to 3 years to comprehend it. I, did the disclosure, whatever, freedom of information, got everything. Even did a lot of Michael Benisius stuff. Did everything. They threatened to come on the 12th of the 12th at 10, 12, 12.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I
Then you-
went to court, to the High Court,
Yeah.
got a master to stop it.
Yeah.
Then they deferred it till the 10th of January the next year. However, I've just got freedom of information. The master said to the bailiff, back down, don't come out. But the bailiff came out, my son got fractured ribs.
No.
And they sold my property to a gypsy for 490,000. It was worth 1.3 million.
Now you need to, oh my God, that's,
And I've got
That's
all
terrible.
my paperwork, Troy, in
That's
It's
terrible.
tickety-boo because I'm old school and my paperwork will stand up to any scrutiny.
Well, right, you just reminded me of something else. We were talking about with you yesterday. Title insurance. Okay, title insurance, that's critical. Every mortgage has got insurance, right? Now, when they bring you need to go and look at the insurance. The one, I was looking at one in somebody's insurance, and there's a nice clause in there, and it says that the insurance company is gonna protect you against all claims, against the title. Yeah. So when they threaten you with foreclosure, you take the claim to the insurance company and say, you deal with it, pay them. That's not the way of dealing with mortgage. Because every mortgage is secured, it's insured. Same thing happens if you don't pay your mortgage for 3 months, you know the bank does. They go to the insurer and they collect the full amount.
But
How do you know
the
it's been
problem
insured?
there is,
I'm sorry?
How do you know it's been insured and who the insurers are?
Because you ask the bank.
European law, every financial product has
Has
to
to be
have
insured.
insurance
yeah.
policy.
Everyone has
they won't-
insurance.
They won't tell you who it is though. That's
No,
the
the well,
problem.
that's police
Well,
disclosure.
that's disclosure. If they don't tell you, then you stop paying the mortgage, guys. Huh?
No, you're right, Father.
This thing is simple. It's very, very simple. It's like a car, okay?
Come on, guys, we're
All right, all right,
on this. Can we crack on with it?
Yeah, but maybe the clause can be changed.
So it's like when you have a car wreck and you have an accident. Same thing in the mortgage. You pay your mortgage, then you lose your job. What do? You write the insurance and say, listen, I've lost my job, could you cover me for the 3 months? Same with the car, when you have an accident, you don't pay money, you go to the insurance and say, I'd like to make a claim. So when they bring a foreclosure claim against you, you go to the insurer and say, could you please satisfy this clause here, which says you're going to defend me against all legal action against my title. Boom.
Doesn't the lender take out the insurance?
I'm sorry?
Doesn't the lender take out the insurance?
You're the lender.
You're the lender. But what they
Okay.
also do as well as the power of attorney,
Yeah, they
if
do.
you read the terms of the power of attorney, it says that they can collect money on your behalf.
That's right, yeah.
Is that what the
So it's a game. But insurance, what also, I'm going to go back to you with insurance, it just reminded me that if you look at the insurance, you can go back to the insurance company and say, you failed to protect my title in line with the insurance, and get them to pay you money back, the money that they sold the house for. That's another one. So if put insurance title, it's called mortgage indemnity insurance, that's what it's called. So you're going to ask the bank for disclosure of the mortgage indemnity insurance. And they have to give it to you. If they don't disclose, then you know there's something untoward. And it's conditional acceptance. As long as you don't disclose, I don't have to perform. So guess what? If you don't disclose at the end of 2 months, the mortgage repayments are going to stop. So that's the condition of the agreement, you see.
say if your property's been repossessed, yeah, you've lost your property.
Yep.
You go back to the lender, and the lender doesn't give you this information.
We've got to have the freedom of information.
Yeah, that's the trouble. You can do disclosure applications in court, whereby the court forces them to bring these documents. That's the same process you use when they're trying to sue you, okay? If they bring a claim against you, you say, okay, fine, however, I'd like to see this, and this, at the court level. Otherwise, I cannot answer your claims. You're going to ask them for the agreement, the insurance, how the securitization audit, and the accounting audit. This is when they're suing you. Because you're going to say, hang on a second, there's an error somewhere. I need to see the accounting before I pay this money. And as long as they don't produce those 4 things, they cannot proceed with their court case.
Otherwise, that's fraudulent. It's
Yeah.
extortion. They can't do that.
Because they have no, they're claiming that you breached contract. So their claim is a breach of contract. Yet they're unwilling to produce a contract and say you breached this clause. The contract doesn't exist. As long as they cannot produce a contract, they cannot enforce anything. Okay? So insurance, another one. So that's it. These are the solutions so far. You see? So if you ever receive a claim for foreclosure, what do you take a claim to the insurance and say, deal with it? That's what we pay insurance for. All right? So title, mortgage, indemnity insurance, that's the name of it. And that insures your title and keeps it as good title. That's what it's for. Okay? So, okay, should we do, how are we doing now? Right, so I'm going to go to number 3. And then we're going to explain what they do behind the shadows. Right. So the bank and estate and contract law does not have the authority to alter the terms of the deed. So the point is this, when you went to get the mortgage, I think most people think that, oh, the bank has money, it's going to lend me some money, I'm going to take this money, buy a house, move into the house, and I'm going to be paying them gradually over 25 years. That's what most people think, you see. That's not what happens, completely different. It's like a credit card, similar to a mortgage. The credit is created at the point of sale, you see. So when you go and use a credit card, the point where the transfer goes through, that's when the money is created. There is no money somewhere, a whole bunch of it. You create the credit when you use the credit card, you see. So you create the money when you sign the promissory note for the mortgage. That's how you create money in the fiat system, you see. Okay? So, as long as the bank alters the terms of the agreement, it's void. That's number one. That's what they've done. They never told you they're going to sell the loan to somebody else. They never told you they won't give you any money. They never told you that they won't risk anything. You see, that's called misrepresentation. It's fraud by misrepresentation because they want you to believe that they have money that they're going to give to you. The banks are not in the business of lending money. The banks are in the business of buying and selling securities, all these promissory notes. That's all they're doing. The bank don't have any money. They don't have a single cent. You see. So that's why it's not a loan. I mean, kill them on that anyway. On the landlord side, if any of their documents comes into you with the word loan, they're finished. On our side, because you're going to murder them. We're going to explain to them what a loan is. They'll never give you a loan. The loan is something else. It's not what you think. For you to be a loan, I have to put my own asset at risk. The bank never risks anything when they give you a mortgage. Nothing.
Not a penny.
Not a penny. Zero. Okay? So how can they demand and keep people out of their homes and send bailiffs and break doors and all this stuff? How are they doing all these things? It's because most people are in commercial dishonor. Because they've ignored or argued with the bank. You see, in commerce, you keep saying there's only two valid responses. So you're going to have acceptance and conditional acceptance. And then these are in honor. And then if you argue or ignore, this is dishonor. Most people are here.
That's because we're incompetent.
Exactly.
So you've got to be competent.
So you need to be competent in running your stuff.
That's different.
No, if you simplify it, you'll be competent. If you complicate it, it's going to drive you crazy. Litigation, lawyer business, it's complicate things, you see. Drag it out. You want to shrink it so it's, oh, this is my name and this is what I want. That's it. I don't want a whole bunch of stories. This is my claim. I claim this comment belongs to me. Does anybody have an objection? No, thank you. I'll take it. He does, so leave it for now, you see. But that's how it works. If I come to your house and say, oh, this television belongs to me.
That's what the bank's doing.
Yeah, and I come and take it and you're sitting there doing nothing. By law, I can do that.
That's the bank's doing it.
That's common law.
That's what the bank's doing.
So that's what bank is doing. Someone say, this house belongs to me. And you are doing this stuff here.
No,
and you're in dishonor. What you're supposed to do is this. I conditionally accept to pay you if I see the securitization audit. Or the accounting. Okay? Or any evidence whatsoever that you gave me a loan.
Produce it.
It's conditional acceptance. You're in honor. So if you write 4 or 5 letters at this level, and they try to take you to court, you have 4 or 5 pieces of evidence that you refer the judge to. You say, this clown here, or claimant, he hasn't proven their case. They haven't given me anything, so I cannot even respond to his claim. I need information so I can respond to his claim.
Honorable information.
Sufficient. I need sufficient information to be able to respond to the claim. Yeah.
Even at that level, you can get it wiped out because they never ever are the claimant. Because once they've securitized it, it goes to an SPV.
Thank you. That's what you're going to go into. That has the legal rights. Thank you. The SPV has the legal rights to the property. Anyway, we're going to get into that. Let's just go through it. Yeah. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. The bank has no claim whatsoever on your property. Zero, you see. Okay, so.
But surely, though, the SPV can only have rights to it if you know that it actually exists.
This is where full disclosure is important again.
Right. The SPV does not have a legal standing neither. Why? Because they have secured the note by an unlawful means. That's all.
Yeah.
That's why
that means full disclosure.
That's why they can never bring a claim against you if you know what you're doing.
Did the bank hire the court then?
Yeah.
They pay the fake judges to rule against you. Look, guys, this is it. This is what I'm talking about here. Everything they're doing is metaphysical. It's not physical. the banks are there as, a river bank. They're there to channel currency, to channel the current. So a judge is that's his job. To make, to make sure where the currency goes. Right now, the currency is going to their bosses. And they say, oh, bring this currency to us. They're here to deprive a living man of his property and give it to the corporation. That's the entire job. So that's why the corporations have the symbols, to confuse you. Everything is a corporation. You see, that's the game. So don't be duped by these clowns. Don't be duped by them 1 second. Know who you are, you're here. You're next to God. You're not a corpse. So, you're not dead. Yeah, you're not dead. They're not civilly dead. You're a human being. You're not a human being either. A human being is a monster. Don't use that word. So, you need to know what spells you're using. If you call yourself a human being, they'll treat you like a human being.
What's that mean?
A human being is a monster.
It's a sea monster.
It's a monster with no rights, no inheritable rights, nothing. That's a monster. It's a human being. A human. So you're never human. This is what you're going to be all the time.
A living man?
Yeah.
Man or woman.
Yeah.
Human?
No human.
Not human.
Man or woman.
The trick in the language is this. Some clowns a few years ago, they took some words and altered them slightly so in their venues they can mean something else. Whereas in the regular dictionary, it says a human being is a man. When you go to Black's Law Dictionary, or the law dictionary, it explains to you exactly what it is. So when you go to court thinking you're going to talk about a human, they know what a human is in that venue. And you're going up there to, I am a human, I'm a human. Okay, you're a human, right?
Animal man.
Bend over. Because you have no rights. Yeah, you're a human. So you need to know who you are.
Language is so important.
Yes, it's a language.
The original language, but we don't have time to look at it.
Yeah, that's why we simplify things. We simplify things to, English is a very, anyway, sweet language. We do it now, and it's getting very, very easy. Because you simplify things to the point where, what is your name? If you don't tell me what your name is, I will not do business with you. That's it. Boom. And if you write to me after that, I'm going to consider it harassment, and I'm going to make a claim against you. One sentence. So keep it short, okay? But the trick is the language. So, okay, right. Number 4, the existing contract. The existing conflict of interest is that the bank claim a beneficial interest, okay, in a trust where they're supposed to be trustees.
That's correct.
That they've collapsed the trust. A trust agreement does not allow a trustee to run a trust for their own benefit. That's called a breach of trust. Okay?
What's an SPV?
A special purpose vehicle. That's what they call it. Special purpose vehicle. So what they do with the bank is this. They know they're going to do this, right? So what they do is they create an SPV, which is a separate company from them here, on the side, right? And say, oh, we don't deal with this mortgage anymore. They're going to write to you. So SPV here, SPV. They're going to write to you and say the bank is either they're acting on behalf of the bank or they have taken over the account and they're going to try and run it. But they're connected to the bank. The only reason they're created is because the bank is trying not to collapse the trust. Because as soon as
it's on it.
Yeah, because a trustee is supposed to run the trust for the benefit of the beneficiaries.
Which is you.
Yeah. Now they make themselves the beneficiaries, so they're running a trust for themselves.
You can't do it. It's not a trust.
It's not a trust. It's a business.
And they call it a vehicle because don't forget we're operating under maritime
It's maritime law.
So a vehicle is a ship.
Thank you. It's a vessel. It's all in the language. So our stuff, we remove all this stuff. We remove all the legalese language. Our language is very plain English. It looks childish sometimes, but that's how we have to be. In order to avoid all these convoluted words that mean nothing, you see, legalese. So you keep it simple. In our contracts, we ask them to write to us in English as well. And now they're finished.
Can't do that.
They can't write in English.
You can't do that with companies.
But that's how you kill them. Even when they write a claim, you don't have to deal with the claim and say, oh, sorry, conditional acceptance. I accept to be part of your proceedings if you write your claim in English, please. And take it to court, you say to the judge, I'm sorry, I don't understand this stuff. I don't know what language this is. But it looks like nonsense to me, you see. Check it out.
Because that's legalese?
Yeah.
Not English?
Not English. So legalese and dog Latin and legalese mixed together.
What?
Dog Latin. Dog Latin is when they write, like all capitals. That's
Glosser.
Yeah, glosser. Yeah, that's what it is. It's when you write in all capitals.
It's quite easy.
Yeah, so when they do the glosser thing, you can pick him on that as well. Because as soon as you gloss a document, it loses validity. So we kill them on the contract. We don't argue about whether you paid mortgage or whether you're speeding or none of that stuff. That's out the window. What I'm saying is your document has so many errors, you cannot use it in any court case. You need to go and correct it. Because the language is off. That's all.
Fraudulent contracts to begin with.
That's all we're doing now, because we used to go back and forth and argue, and all this crap with them. There's no argument anymore. You see, it's very, very simple now. Please write them in English or don't bother. Yeah. And these are the manuals we're using. We're using Oxford Manual, or if you need descriptions, we use Black's Law. So we can find out from their own world what Black's Law say a loan is. According to your own Black's Law, this is what it says. A loan is something that you have to put some money at risk. But please show me any evidence that you put any of your money at risk. If you go to your account, it should show very clearly that on this day you gave me so much money. What's the problem? Go and print it out and show me. It doesn't have it.
Full disclosure.
There is no disclosure. There was never a loan to begin with. Right. Number 5. So the bank has securitized, has multiplied and monetized the agreement. So the bank's only legal obligation is to the SPV, not to you. Right? They have a separate agreement. This is what is called an unconscionable agreement. You see, you can always click on that. Now, number 6 is the contract entered between the bank and the SPV is to the effect that the bank administrate the account on behalf of the SPV. That's all they're doing. So they're not standing anyway. So as soon as they sell the note, whoever has the note has standing to bring. Because the way a sale works is this. I have the mortgage here. I sell it to him. He takes the mortgage, gives me money. Now he's got the mortgage. Now he's got a right to come to you with the mortgage and say, yeah, there's some money owing to me. I bought it on this day. Okay, this is my securitization, and I want money from you. That's how it works. You see, that's the proper way of doing it. If I don't give you notice, for instance, that I'm selling your note to him, you can't just show up at the door and say, oh, yeah, give me money. Somebody's son. Who are you? That's what they're doing with these mortgages. The companies you never heard from write to you and say, listen, we are representing this bank and we want some money off you. And you start arguing with them. And now you're in dishonor. And now they're going to get you. So when they do that, always say here, I conditionally accept to pay you the money upon proof of claim or proof, it's called deed of assignment and notice of assignment. You want 2 things, right? You want to see the deed of assignment that assigned you to come and collect the money, and the notice of assignment. That's it. If he doesn't have it, he's got to go. Yeah. If he doesn't have it, he has to go. He cannot write to you anymore. Put him in a very tight spot. Okay, these guys are finished. They have nothing. It's just us being brave and doing these things because you're fighting yourself more than anything else. You see, that's what I realized.
Just competent.
Yeah, there's no one out there. We're fighting ourselves. You see, they have no responses. You see, it's nonsense, right? Now, like I said, the bank is not standing to initiate or defend a legal action in respect of the said property. So the SPVs, the word is subrogation. You see, when they do that, it's called subrogation. When they give an agreement to somebody else to go and enforce. So when they do that, they transfer all the rights that they had to that party. So the SPV, he's got all the rights to either defend a legal action or initiate one in respect of that mortgage account. And that's all there is to it.
What's SPV, Sam?
Special purpose vehicle.
Troy, sorry to keep
Yes.
my hand.
Yeah, go.
But when you look at it, when they say there's a loan lodged at the land registry, so therefore when that is entered, it's never the SPV that's entered, never.
Never. It doesn't exist. You see.
So therefore, you can get the land registry on falsification and fraud for that purpose, surely.
I'm saying to people, as soon as they move, they've committed a fraud. All these people, I'm saying to you all the time, as soon as they move, they've done a fraud.
How can they get away with it? How can they...
Because of us. We put up with it. We put up with it. We put up with it. I said, this is my camera, and I'm taking it, and he's sitting there saying, oh, what should I do? And asking, what should I do? What should I do? Well, say something. Do something. Huh? But that's what's going on. Someone is claiming your property, and you're running around saying you don't know what to do. And they're carrying on.
And administrating it.
Yeah.
It's administration.
So it's just being confident and knowing not to be deceived by these clowns anymore. Yeah, go on.
No, I was just going to say, what I'm personally afraid of is going away and coming back and not being able to get back to my house.
How would that happen? These guys, they have to use processes. They never just show up and say, oh, we're going to take your house. They always use processes, about 3. Always, they're trying always. They're going to send you 3 notices for you to ignore. And once you ignore that, they're going to carry on. But if you deal with it from the first instance, the first letter that you receive, let them know your standing as a man or woman. If you're going to represent your legal fiction, that's status, they need to know your status. You see, once you've done that, then you can do business. And then you conditionally accept whatever they're saying, anything they say, upon proof of claim. And ask them some very specific questions. And then create the agreement. If you don't answer me within so many days, it means your claim, you've abandoned your claim, so your claim is false, it's unsubstantiated, which means you're going to leave me alone. Otherwise, you're liable for fraud. You see, in those words. You see, yeah. So where are we? I'll go to number 8. So subrogation is there's a doctrine of subrogation provides that if the SPV, which presumably holds the legal title to the property, they cannot sue you if they are prevented by law from making any claim against you due to the acquisition of the note by an undue process. Then the bank has no right as well. You see. So as soon as the bank gives it to subrogates the deal to the SPV, they lose standing. The SPV has secured the loan through an undue process. They lose standing as well. You cannot be allowed to keep something you've stolen. That's what it is with the SPV. They cannot bring a claim against you. So they're finished at that level as well. So who's bringing the claim? I don't even know. Right. So we know about the holder by now, don't we? Holder of a document? Holder. Or holder in due course. Yeah. So the holder of a document is when they send you a document, one of their liability orders, and you keep it, you become a holder, which makes you liable for whatever terms are on that document. That's why you have to return it within 72 hours. So 7.2. That's the 7.2 is the. It's actually no, but 7.2 is the hours that you need to return back. It works out as a triangle as well, so it's going to work out as 3 days. All right. So within 3 days, you need to send back. Don't be a holder of a document whose terms you're not prepared to fulfill. Yeah. So if there's any errors in the document, you send it back. So it's always this as well. So if it's let's say taxes things, it's easy to accept them and endorse them properly, and send it back and discharge it.
How can you prove that it's within 72 hours when it arrives by Frank Mayo?
What do you mean prove? Prove to who?
You can't prove that you had it.
Prove to who? Who are you trying to prove to?
The person
Well,
sent
no,
it.
but you're going to return it within 72 hours. You haven't signed for it. So there is no time you receive.
So you receive it today, for instance. You receive it today and you send it tomorrow, and you send it out tomorrow. That's within 3 days.
To be saying, how does the other
They
person
don't know
you
when,
sent it?
they
Yeah.
don't know when you've got it either, do they?
Yeah, that's
You tell
what I'm
them.
saying.
I received
matter
it.
though, is it?
You be competent. I received this letter today. Okay, you tell them. I received this letter today. I'm returning to you within 72 hours.
That's it. Just make sure you get the receipt for it from the post office. You've got if you send it back.
Because you're going to get 2, right? Because when you go to the post, it's going to give you the small one, slip. And then you go online, and then you check when it's been served. It's going to say signed for, and you print that out as well. And you attach it to your document. And then you file it.
Send it to us. What's wrong? It's not hard.
And you file it. So you're going to pick it up. But 72 hours is from when you receive it until when you send it out. You know when you received it, and you know when you send it out. So you don't have to prove it. I don't understand how you prove. To who are you trying to prove anyway?
I think he's saying that they can prove that you actually got it.
Who?
They're
Right,
saying-
no, the problem is, we stay in honour.
Is that-
We're not
I don't care what they do.
forget about
You
it, yeah.
saying on yourself. Don't worry about what
You'll
they
be
do.
competent.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, if you receive a letter today, deal with it within 72 hours and let them know that I'm returning timely. If you don't want to quote hours, say timely. Use that word timely. It's timely returned to you. Okay? For me, I use that. I'm returning to you, this document to you within 72 hours, within the requisite 72 hours, so they know that I know what they're doing.
You're going to have to receipt. That's it. So you've got to be competent. That's the key thing. You have to be competent.
Yeah, so in 72 hours, so the holder, yeah. So holder right now of your mortgage is presumably this guy here, SPV. But he's not going to show his face. So as long as he doesn't show his face, who's the holder then? There's no holder. So who's bringing the claim? Nobody. How the hell do people lose their houses? I don't know.
It's the bank that brings the claim, though, when you, even though it's
But the bank,
holder.
now, when the bank brings the claim, the first letter, right? They send you or pay us a mortgage. But we initiate, I don't know. For me, I initiate. My first letter, people paying mortgage, I write to the bank and say, I'd like to see all these documents. They don't respond, that's how I do it. But let's say they write to you and say they want to foreclose on you. Then you can start and say, oh, one question only. I need proof of claim that you are the true lender. That's enough. That's enough.
Question.
Because
Before disclosure.
yeah, the claimant claims to be a lender who's lent some money out and it hasn't been paid back. So you prove to me that you lent me any money.
Contract, yeah. Where's the proof?
There's no proof.
There is one question I want to ask you about that, but you say that the banks never have any money when you take out a mortgage.
Yeah.
But as a seller, if I'm selling a property to you, and you're taking a mortgage out, then when I've sold it, the bank has to give me that money, so where does the money come from then?
For me,
No, but you just give them a promise, and you're saying that.
they convert that to legal tender to pay for the house. It's here. I'm getting to it. It's here. I'm getting to it. Right? Okay. I know what point you're saying. So holder. Right. So number 10 is the word that you're going to use to defend that bifurcation. So you can use that word, but the fact that they've separated the title from the key, it means nobody knows who owns the car. Same with the mortgage. They've separated the promissory note from the agreement. Nobody knows who owns the car. Is it him or is it him? And both of them are coming to somebody who's different is coming and saying, I should pay them. And I'm saying to him, okay, fine. I'm going to pay you if you show me the title that you own the car. He doesn't have it. If you don't have the title, why are you hustling me? You're not the owner. I'm the owner. Anyway, yes. So that's the word you're going to use. Is bifurcation, meaning the division of something into two parts. The note has been separated from the title. It is therefore unclear who has a recorded interest in the real property. And those are the words you're going to use. A recorded interest. Everything is on record. So who has a recorded interest in this property? Nobody. No one. Well, no one can prove that actually hold a note in respect of your property. Nobody has anything except you. You're the only anyone who's got any paper to read that property. Nobody else has, you see. So you own the house. Okay. Now, in order to prove a claim, that's number 11. To prove a claim that the mortgage is null and void, you need to conduct, like we said, a forensic audit of the accounting, number 1, and securitization. Accounting is whatever money is being going in and out. The securitization is when they sell or securitize your mortgage. They have to give you disclosure of who they've given it to, you see, and that's what it is. Okay, right, so we're going to go into the scenario where the gentleman was talking about. So, scenario 1. So you go to the bank believing that the bank has some money to lend you, okay, in response to the advertising. Because they say, oh, come on, we're going to give you some money so you can get some mortgage. So you go there believing that. However, the bank then discloses to you that they have no money, that they're not permitted, in fact, by the corporate charter to lend depositors money. They're not allowed to do that. For instance, if I take my money to the bank, £10, here's the bank, I give him £10. He can't lend that out in case I come back later and say I need my £10. Where is it? Oh, I lent it out. What do you mean you lent it out, man? When I put my money in the bank, I want you to stay there. Not for you to lend it out. They're not allowed by the corporate charter to lend out depositors money. That's it. So where do they get money to lend? It's ridiculous. They have no money anyway. Right.
And lawyers don't have an agreement either, or a license to collect any debts.
Yeah, well, that's a good one as well. When they say they give you a mortgage, ask them that. Do you have a license to give mortgages, dear bank?
You need a license.
They have no license to give mortgages. That's the funny thing about it. That's the funny thing. That's how we killed HMRC. Because HMRC don't have a license to do anything. They don't exist, you see. So with these the banks, they don't have a license to give mortgages. You see, so they're conducting illegal business from the beginning. You see, ask them that. You claim you gave me a mortgage. Please show me your license to give mortgages.
Do they need a license to?
Yeah, they have to.
They do need a license.
Advertise for a mortgage company, so you assume that they have a mortgage.
Everything is on presumptions. They operate on presumptions.
If the government,
The government doesn't exist. I'm not talking about government. Sorry. There is no government, by the way. If you thought there was a government, I'm going to shock you. There is no government. The government was sold a long time ago. This is a private company running game on you now. They're pretending that they're government. They're not government. It's a private corporation. It's called the United Kingdom Corporation Limited, which is separate from England and Wales. It's a separate entity. England and Wales is the land that people live on. United Kingdom is a corporation that runs the business or currency or make sure trafficking happens on the road. That's all, you see. So the
It's
banks...
also registered at Companies House.
Exactly, they're registered. Go and check them.
Well,
They're registered.
It was in 2011, it's gone.
It went bust and they're no longer trading because they failed to file the accounting and
No, it's still trading, but
They're still trading?
in America.
they're not trading here though. You can't
No,
come
no,
in.
no, they are, but they're trading from America because they've all been dissolved.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so it's
2008.
remotely.
Yeah, yeah, and now
You
they're,
can't get the accounts.
yeah, so
Wow.
they've got the accounts.
Okay, yeah, but that's what it is. Once they keep us busy with all these bills and all this television nonsense, they're doing stuff behind the shadows.
Yeah.
That's why we're incompetent. Because we're sitting there watching TV thinking, oh, the government's going to take care of me.
No,
The government doesn't exist.
no.
It doesn't exist.
Think that fire showed that, didn't it?
Yeah.
They are going to take care of you. They'll take
Oh, they will.
Yeah.
Take care of you. Yeah. So these are thieves, right? Criminals who've done this for a long time. They've got used to it. Now it's time for us to be competent and to regain. If we go back to this stuff here, you have to understand that, how do you put it? The temple, Jesus changed the money changes from the temple. That's your job now. And Jesus, Yeshua, gave you the authority to cast out demons. That's your job. So go out there and cast out these demons and remove these people from the temple, from your father's temple.
Yeah.
Remove the government from your temple completely. Understand that you answer to that. You don't answer to this. You're going up, you're not coming down. You see. So you answer to that. Your creator. You don't answer to a legal fiction, private, for-profit corporation. We call it a thievery corporation. That's the proper name. You don't answer to them. In our world, they don't even exist. We don't recognize them, you see. It's like a flea. What do you want? Cough. What do you want? Cough. We have no contract with you. United Kingdom Corporation Limited or whoever you want to call yourself. I have no business with you. I abide by the law of the land, known as England. That's it. The rest of it is contract. And they can do whatever they feel like. We don't care. Because we know who we are. We know the law. That's more important, to know the law. Okay? So, we're going to do, blah, blah, blah. Now the acceptance and deposit, I have to explain this to you. When you write the promissory note to take a loan, what they do is take the promissory note, this is why it's got a loan, and they record it in their accounts as an asset. It's recorded as a cash deposit.
Not a loan.
You see? So they don't record it as a liability. So let's say the bank had £100 in the account this morning, and you come in and do a promissory note for 100, another 100, okay? They don't take their 100 and give it to you so it marks zero. At the end of the day, it's going to read 200 because they put yours as a cash deposit. The promissory note is just that. Cash is promissory notes. That's what it is.
I promise to pay the bearer.
Yeah,
so
I promise to pay the bearer. It's the same thing. So they put your deposit as cash. So if they had zero account in the morning and you come and take a loan for 100, they credit themselves in the positive for 100. That's how you get them.
So it's just numbers in a computer
That's
saying
right.
that
That's right.
this money is there.
Money of accounting, that's the name of it. Money of accounting. Another sweet one as well. Oh my God, this mortgage is so easy. We were murdering in Huddersfield a few years ago. We're asking the bank, conditional acceptance. I accept to pay you a mortgage if you can identify whether the amount owed is either money of exchange or account. Which one is it? Yep.
Never came
Yep.
back.
Or which payment do you want to do? How would you like paid? Do you like to be paid by money of account or money of exchange? They never give you any money of exchange. They give you money of account. So you're going to pay them in the same manner, which is another promissory note, and there you go. Put it in your asset account as cash deposit. Thank you very much, you stupid boy. That's how you do it. And you run them. So you have to tell them what to do. Okay? So it's the same process. Same process. All right. Now, let's see. Number 17?
8?
Money account.
13?
17?
What happened to 13?
13?
Money exchange.
Oh, we are on to 15. Sorry.
Alright.
That's what I'm talking about, the cash, they deposit as a promissory note as cash. So the bank enters into its own asset account a cash deposit. You see, that's what they do with the promissory note. Bearing your signature, that's a valuable consideration that you're giving in. What do they give back to you? Nothing. Zero. So how can it be a contract if there is no valuable consideration?
They pay for the solicitors either.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing.
That has to be give and take for you to be in a contract. or an
Exchange
agreement.
furniture, yeah.
What you're saying to me, oh, you're gonna give them a promissory note that they can deposit as a cash deposit on their accounts and you get nothing. How is that an agreement? It's not an agreement, it's a con, right? Now, 16 is acceptance and deposit of your note makes the bank liable to you, you see. Because they've taken your promissory note and deposited in their account as a cash deposit. Guess what? They're liable to you. Not the other way around. You're not liable to them. You give them money to put in the asset account. They never give you anything. So they're liable, all right? Okay? Now, 17, the banks, okay, that's the process, yeah? So once you've signed the agreement, the bank is gonna look up the credit. That's number 17. If you have good credit, they're gonna say, oh, okay, fine, now we're gonna give you some money, you see. If they had money anyway, they wouldn't need to do that. They'll just give it to you. Huh? But anyway, however, the bank has no money to lend. The bank gives man a promise to lend by way of a commitment letter. That's all they give you. They promise to lend you, but they never give you anything. They promise to lend you, okay? And the promise comes through by something called a loan authorization letter, signed by one of their people. Okay? Now, for you to sell a mortgage, the property has to be free of liens and encumbrances. Now, if the seller has a mortgage, it means it's not free of liens and encumbrances, is it? So you cannot sell it. You see, the seller cannot sell the house because it's got a mortgage on it, that's a lien and encumbrance. And you cannot buy the house because it cannot be bought because there's a mortgage on it. So how the hell did they do it? So, right. So I'm just going to read it and see if it makes sense. If it don't, we'll come back and explain it. Now, so it's number 20, right? So liens such as existing mortgages, judgments must be paid before the property can be mortgaged by you to the bank. As simple as that, you see? As collateral for the money that you're supposedly going to get, that you never do anyway, pursuant to the promise of the bank, right? So the seller at this point cannot lawfully pay off the mortgage on the property to obtain what is called clear title, as he or she has not yet received any money from you, you see? And you cannot lawfully mortgage the property to the bank because it doesn't belong to you yet. The way it's supposed to work is you're supposed to get the money from the bank, cash money, go to the guy's house, give him the money, he gives you the title and the key, you take the title to the bank and say, that money you gave me, here's the title, keep that until I pay you back. And then you keep the key to go into the house with. That's how, are we taking a break or what's going on?
No, keep going.
Everyone's walking out.
No,
Could you shut the door please on the way out? And don't come back. We'll let them go and then carry on. Yeah.
I need a strong whiskey.
Where am I?
You're in 21.
21, yeah. So, so you, so the man, you need to get money, right? Take it to the seller, give the seller the money, take the title to the bank, say to the bank, you keep the title until I pay you the money that you gave me. That's how it's supposed to work, you see. Yeah, is that clear? Does that make sense?
Say that again, please.
Right, the way a mortgage is supposed to work is this. The bank is a building with a whole bunch of money,
Supposed to.
right, supposedly. Now you walking down the street and you see a house that you like, and you say, oh, it's for sale. And you go to the owner, how much is it? 10 pounds. Oh, cool, give me a minute. You go to the bank and say, listen, I've seen a house I want to buy. Well, how much is it? 10 pounds. Could you give me 10 pounds, please? And the bank gives you 10 pounds in cash. Take the 10 pounds to the house. You say, here's 10 pounds, I want to buy your house. He's going to give you two things, the key and the title, right? Now you take the key and the title. The key you're going to use to get to the house. Because the bank gave you money, 10 pounds to buy the house, you're going to take the title to them. And so I'd like to mortgage this property against the 10 pounds that you gave me, you see? So I'm going to pay you back £1 every month. When the 10 pounds is paid, I'll come back and take my title. Now, my property will be free and clear of all liens and encumbrances because I've paid it off. Is that clear? Does that make sense? Yeah. That's how it's supposed to happen. But it doesn't happen like that. That's a different, yeah. Anyway, let's carry on and then we'll see how it does. Right, now, the job of the bank is to make these liens and encumbrances disappear, so you can mortgage the house. So, briefly, anyway, let's just read it, try to break it down. Now, the bank is in concert with its lawyers, cause the disappearance of the liens by using a check drawn in the name of the bank, right? So they're going to draw a check in the name of the bank, but backed by your promissory note. That's the con, right? So you create a promissory note, they put it in their bank account, and then they write out a check in the bank's account's name, as long as the bank has given the money. But the money belongs to you. That's how we do it. So that's the circle. Then you give them the money, then they write a check in their name, but it's your money, all right? The check is then deposited into the lawyer's account. The bank and its lawyers use the promissory note as cash to enable the purchase, you see. So the bank's lawyer, conveyancing money. Is that clear? Or is it? Yeah? Because I don't need to explain 24 and 25, because 25 is the man's promissory note makes the conveyancing possible. Because look, what the bank does is this: they take a promissory note, put it in their assets, record it as an asset. If they're at 0 in the morning and you put £100, now they have 100, right? They're going to write a check for £100 to the seller and say, there you go, you're going to pay for your house. And that's how they get it. But they use your money to pay for that. That's how it's done. It's simplified. That makes any sense.
Also, they make sure that there's usually a 6-week gap, and that 6 weeks gap, that your money in their account is earning interest for them.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, interest is a killer as well. Now they're gonna give you your own money back, and you're gonna pay back interest. So that's twice already. Because one is when you pay them back the full amount, plus the interest. And not just that, but I mean, they go on and they get, anyway, I'll carry on and explain what they do behind the scenes. I'll tell you what, guys, let's take 5. Yeah? We take 5 and you come back and we'll be able to go through this. Otherwise, it tends to be too much. Let's take 5 minute break and carry on.
In the military.
Okay, we only have a short time, so you're going to carry on.
Go on then. What number are we?
I'm gonna go because you have this document, right? I'm gonna let you read the rest of it.
All right, can I go quiet, please?
I'm gonna jump to number 57. So 57. What we sue the bank for is unjust enrichment.
Yes.
That's you're gonna make a claim in equity for unjust enrichment, and you're gonna prove that the bank never gave you a loan.
Right. Yeah.
That the bank never gave you a loan, that actually you gave them a loan.
Yes.
And also that you've been paying them money that they don't deserve to get, because they're not the holder of the promissory note. So if you do that, you're going to sue them for unjust enrichment, and you have enough evidence to prove it. This is the letter that you write to them asking for disclosure. Okay? So number 59 is, 58 is that liability of the bank is established upon disclosure and discovery that the bank has, to the detriment of man, the word is willfully, neglectfully, or maliciously, or dishonestly altered the deed and title without your knowledge and consent. That's what makes the bank liable, the breach agreement. And then you can use number 59, the legal principles that we use in contract. So I won't try and sound Latin and just read it. Odi alteram partem. That means the right to be heard. So when they do their things without consulting you, and it's to do with your account that you created, they've gone beyond their powers. So it's ultra virus. So you have a right to be heard in any matter that concerns the mortgage that you created. So they cannot go into separate agreements with people you don't know, with new terms that you are unfamiliar with.
Okay? Number two, the second one is non est factum. Applies in a case whereby someone can avoid having to respect an agreement that they have entered or signed because of certain reasons, such as a mistake, number one. Mistake being that the mortgage agreement wasn't what you thought it was, a misrepresentation as well, because the bank misrepresented itself by claiming that they're in the business of lending money. That's false representation. Undue influence is when they kind of push you in a way to sign documents. The bank do that all the time by undue influence, telling you you have a choice. Yet we live in a realm of choice. You have a choice on anything. And the last one is fraud. And you establish fraud by, if you're gonna, this is, you can use, these are legal principles. So you can use statutory words as well. When you're doing legal things, you can use statutes, you see. So fraud is, the Fraud Act is there, 2006 I think. Section 3, non-disclosure. Yeah. Section 2, creating documents to be used in fraud. You see, 12 makes the company directors liable, so you can use that. Then under Section 12, you're liable for fraud by failure to disclose, which is against Section 3. So that's fraud as well. So for that reason, you can use the legal principle, non est factum. Fourth one is a good one, use it all the time. Quantum merit provides merit. That's the way you say it. Anyway, we could have merit, but it's merit. Provide that a person should not be obliged to pay, nor should another be allowed to receive more than the value of the goods or services exchanged. That's the principle. Now, you need to determine what goods and services were exchanged between you and the bank. If they haven't given you any goods or services, then you can use that principle so that they don't gain what they don't deserve. And the last one is consensus ad idem. That has to do with agreements. It has to be consensus, or coming together of the minds so that there's an agreement, you see. The basic requirement for each contract is an agreement. It's a meeting of the minds where all parties understand the commitments made to each other. When you signed your mortgage, the commitment that you entered wasn't the one that it became, you see, because you went into an agreement with the bank, with understanding that they're going to give you some money, which you're going to lend them back. That never happened. What happened is that you lent the bank money, it doesn't get back to you. They want some interest with that. So that's what it is, the fourth one.
So, is there any chance of having that turned off? Because I can't hear you.
This one?
That's it, yeah.
Yes, sorry. Did you get the points though? It's number 50. It's a legal principle that you can use for challenging the moves.
59.
Sorry, 59. Okay,
Yes,
I'm
yes.
fine. Right, and number 60 is the fraud by reference to Section 3 of the Fraud Act, may be described as deceitful conduct designed to manipulate me to give you something of value. That's what they did. They used deceit to convince you to give them something of value, which was your promissory note. And once they had that, it's a con. Then they come back to you and say, pay us some more money. So number one is a promissory note. That's first payment. What they do with the promissory note is take it to the commercial bank, the big bank, and they give it to them and say, this guy is promised to pay £100,000. And they give it to the big bank. The big bank gives them the whole amount at that time. Okay? And then the big bank is the one that securitizes and does all the other business. But the bank has been paid already. They get paid 4 times for every mortgage. That's the con.
At least.
4 times at least. That we know of. 4. Right?
Why do they get paid for?
1 by you, the promissory note. 2 by the commercial bank. Still you're going to pay the note 25 years, you see.
And that would be 3 times.
Yeah.
But that by itself paying it back, so that's 5.
That's 5.
That's if you default any time.
Or if you default, they're going to collect the insurance.
Yeah.
And still come after you, you see. They're going to collect the insurance, that's full amount, but still chase you for the full amount again. So,
And then they get what they made from the fire sale and what you've paid over the term of the mortgage.
if you pay for 10 years and they kick you out, they keep their money still and put the new man in a new agreement, and they pay the mortgage again with their promissory notes. How many times can they sell this one property? You see, because if you stay in it for 5 years, you default, they kick you out, bring somebody else from the beginning, new promissory note, they're still chasing you, and they don't catch up with you. So if they rent the same property say, in 20 years to 5 different people who all default, they're going to get paid 5 times still. Because they're going to chase these people to the end. And they're going to still rent it out. That's 6. It's endless. It's ridiculous. It's crazy. But that's what it is, and that's what we're dealing with. Right? So, they're con man. So, what's the excuse? Let him who wishes to be fooled be fooled. And that's what they say. You see? What can you do? Right. Number 60. So it's incumbent upon you to make a claim against them. Always. Don't wait to defend. We always wait to be slapped and then we try to fight them back. We always defending. So once you are the ones who are supposed to make the claims. Let them defend for a minute. You see. So you're going to write a claim and say, listen, I claim that I own the house according to land registry and according to my promissory note and a whole bunch of stuff, and I need to rebut within 30 days. If you don't, it means that you accept that I own the house, and I'm going to use this. I'm going to rely on this document in court. Done. And that's exactly what you do. You rely on the document in court. The bank has agreed that I don't owe them any money, and here's the proof. It's notarized, it's signed, it's sealed, and everything, because you do our stuff properly. Okay. So I'm going to jump to number 66 to see the documents that you're going to ask them at the beginning. That's what we use in the first letter that we send to them. So I'm going to ask you for the agreement signed by both parties, evidencing the existence of a lawfully binding contract. It doesn't exist. A lawfully binding contract, it doesn't exist. It requires 2 parties, signatories, put their name to it. That's a contract. Okay? The mortgage is a unilateral contract. It's only you on it. It's like your driver's application license thing. It's a unilateral contract. It's only you on it. There's nobody else. So how can anybody else make a claim on your mortgage? It's only you on the mortgage. Who else has an interest in it? No one. Okay? Number 2 is a promissory note signed by you. So you had a copy of it. Or at least let us know where it is. Who has it? I need the name, identity of the man or woman who's holding the promissory note as a trustee or in any other capacity. And I need the address, the proper mailing location. The next one is you can leave the fee simple deed. For the fee simple deed, you can ask for that, but your land registry paperwork is going to show that you're the proprietor. Okay? And it's going to show that this property is held in fee simple absolute. Right? There's fee simple conditional, which means there are conditions to the title. When it's absolute, if your title says absolute, then it means there is no conditions to you owning the property. And that's the end of it. It's absolute. Notice of assignment, we asked them for that as well. So they say they were assigning it to somebody else. And then deed of assignment, there's 2 things. There's the deed of assignment and notice, you see. Because when they assign it, they have to give you notice. Because I'm the bank and he owes me money, and I'm going abroad, I want to chase him. So I'm going to say to him, I've assigned the note to him, so he's going to come to you. So I'm going to give you the deed of assignment and the notice of assignment. I'm going to give you notice that I've assigned the note. If it's not done that way, it's not proper. Conveyance as well, and most importantly, the mortgage indemnity insurance, which identifies who is the beneficiary of the mortgage. It should be you. All right? So those are the things we ask them for. And that insurance, the last one is what we were talking about earlier, about indemnity insurance. So if they bring a claim against foreclosure, the insurance company's clause say that they are obligated, it's a duty, it's not a power, it's a duty. They have an obligation to defend all legal actions against your title. So you send them the claim and they can settle it. Number 68 is an application for disclosure. If you're going to use the statutory nonsense in the legal fiction world, the CPR, Rule 31.16, and that's permitted in Section 33 of the Supreme Court Act of 1981, and that's C, Chapter 54. Also, there's 2 courts you can ask for disclosure. In the lower courts, is Section 52 of the County Courts Act of 1984, and that's C28. So if you use this act, if they refuse to give you disclosure, they want to sue you in their venue, then you can use that, because that's proper in that venue. So you just say, fine, I conditionally accept to pay the alleged lender or the claimant money upon proof of, and then you ask them for that, for them to disclose what you've asked for, which is the agreement, promissory note, a fee simple deed, note of assignment, conveyance, and the insurer. And as soon as they do that, then you'll be able to deal with their claims. Okay? And then we go to number 70. Use that. Estoppel. I call it Estoppel. Estoppel. That's the one.
Very good. As soon as they default, what you're supposed to do is send them a certificate of estoppel. And that's the evidence you're going to use in court when they bring the claim. Excuse me, Your Honor, the claimant has been stopped from taking any further action on this matter. Here it is, his certificate of estoppel. Boom, done.
What's the stop?
It stops them from carrying on with the action. For instance, if I ask you, if you say I owe you money, and I ask you, excuse me, what's your name? And you say, I won't tell you. So I'm going to say to you, I'm going to give you a certificate of estoppel. I say, I need your name within 7 days. If I don't receive it, it means I don't owe you any money, and your claim is fraudulent. I'm going to wait for 7 days. I hear nothing from you. I'm going to draft a certificate saying, oh, since you haven't responded to me, I'm going to certify that your claim is fraudulent. And a few other words, thank you very much. I'm going to seal it, send it to you. That's your certificate.
A stopping in court clause.
Thank you. Everything has to be settled privately. There's nothing you're going to do in the public courts, you see. You have to settle with your opponent privately. When you go to court, you just prove that you've done and remain in honor.
Yeah, I did law and I got my notarized
Yep.
by a solicitor
Yep.
and also by the notary itself. So I've got two strong one of mine.
So you use those documents to create a claim. You see? I don't know what kind of claim you want, but there's 3 types of claims. We tend to do equity claims more than statutory ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just up to you. What do you want to do with your
It is so
estables?
pretty.
Yeah. You need to decide which move, where do you want to go. Once you know where you want to go, then life is easier. Once you know what you want to do, then you get straight directions. Right, okay, so estable certificates. Now, there's many, but you can choose which one. So you're going to have, I'd say estable by silence. That's a good one. If they remain silent, which means they don't respond to you, they don't correspond, it's called acquiescence. So if you don't respond to me, it means you agree with me. If I say this belongs to me, this camera, and nobody says anything, guess what? It belongs to me. And then, yeah, that's about it. You certify it. You write a certificate of estoppel and give it to them. And then you use that as your, I don't like the word defense, but as your defense if they try to foreclose on you. Okay? 71. Always remember, the word bifurcation is a division of something into 2 branches or 2 parts. He's got the key and he's got the title. Now who owns the car? Is it him or is it him? They've split the note and the agreement. So we don't know who's holding what. So when somebody comes to you and says, oh, pay us some money, do you have the note? Is the question. Are you the holder of the note at default? And they never answer you. That's one sentence. As soon as you receive the first letter from anyone saying you defaulted in a mortgage, oh, thank you very much for your letter dated whatever, is it your claim that you are the holder of a note at default? And leave it at that. You say yes or no answer. Yes, I am. Let me see it. The cat ate it. Tough luck. Don't write to me again. You see, as long as you don't have the note, I'm not obligated to you. Because I want to see a note in my signature saying I have an obligation. That's all. So who's holding the note?
Both signatures, really.
Yep. But as long as there's no note, there is no obligation. It's contract law. Everything legal is paperwork. Everything legal is paperwork. So the paper has to be correct. Okay, so who actually is it that claims to have a recorded interest? That's the wording. Who is, or you can say, are you claiming that you have a recorded interest in the note and the title? So that's the question. Who has a recorded interest in 2 things? Number 1, the note and the title. Because he's got the note and he's got the title. Or he's got the title, he's got the note. So who has a recorded interest? They never record their interests because their interests are not bona fide. They're not genuine interest, you see. Because you have to have an interest in the property before you can register any charge on it. Genuine interest is when you've added value to the property. If you haven't added value to the property, you have no genuine interest. If I have put nothing in your home, I can't come and claim anything on it at all. But if I give you some money towards your mortgage and I put some, I don't know, maybe I put some windows in your house or I did something, then I can claim I have a genuine interest in the property. But these people have no genuine interest, and that's the word. You have, please provide me, we don't argue, so we don't say you don't have genuine interest. We turn it around and say, please provide me proof of your claim that you do have a genuine interest in this property. That's the wording. So it's positive language instead of negative. And they get us on the negative because they get us to, you cannot perform a negative condition. That's the whole point. But they get us on the negative and into argument, and then we lose our cases. So it's a matter of conditional acceptance. And say, okay, I accept to pay you the money upon proof of claim that you have a recorded interest in the note and the title. Okay, and I need this within 7 days. And if I don't hear from you within 7 days, I'm going to take it, I'm going to presume, I'm going to assume, okay, that you have no genuine interest, or you have no recorded interest in this property, whereby you shall leave me alone, otherwise I'm going to make a claim against you for harassment, attempted fraud, a whole bunch of stuff, you see. But that's how you deal with these fools. It's straightforward. Okay? And because we have limited time, I'm going to take any questions so we can clear things. When we leave here today, I don't want anybody to be asked about these guys anymore. I mean, it can't get any simpler. Yeah.
So there's 3 ways that I understand, if I'm wrong, just correct me, that you can make a claim. One's civil, one's commercial, one's criminal. So when you talk about equitable claim, where does that fit under the umbrella, or is it a separate tool again?
It could be a civil claim.
It comes under civil.
An equity. So you can take it to a court of equity, it's chancery. That's a court of equity. But in your wording, you have to invoke that court, because these guys are tricksters. If you don't, okay, now I'm just going to give you good advice. If you don't write certain words, they won't tell you. They just dismiss it, you see. So you have to invoke the inherent jurisdiction of the court. All courts on the land are equity courts from the beginning. Because all courts were there to give equity and fairness to the people. That's why they're set up to begin with. So that when you have a disagreement with him, you come to the court, and the court is neutral. It's an equitable venue, and then the judge, who is unbiased, is going to hear both sides of the argument. It's going to make a unbiased decision. But right now, it's not. All these people claiming to be judges are not judges. To start with, they're administrative clerks. What they're doing is administrating your site's accounts. That's why it's called administrative law. It's not law. It's administration. They call it administrative law, but it's not law. Those are rules and codices of the lawless society. That's all it is. We are not members of the lawless society. Their rules don't apply to us. Their statutes don't apply to us. You're a living man. You're here. And yeah, you know where you are. You're here. You're here. You're not here. You see. They want to drag you into the dead world, the world of the dead. Don't go to the world of the dead, the legal fiction world. You can, in order to do business, but you need to know how to maneuver and let them know that here I'm representing the legal fiction. It's not me. I'm not a dead corporation. However, I have copyright to that name, and I use it for business. So you don't put in your stupid commercial instruments and send me warrants and orders and all this nonsense in your fake de facto courts. These are de facto courts. They have no authority whatsoever. They operate on presumptions. You see, they're criminals. They're crooks. And that's all they do. They're crooks. Okay? Yep. Anything else that's not clear?
And I don't have a mortgage. So to know this and to go in knowing about this, to get a mortgage, you better shut your mouth.
If you have credit, good credit, go and get a mortgage. Go and get a mortgage. Within 3 months, you'll be free of it.
And it's 10
Yeah.
mortgages.
You got, where is
Just be
this?
quiet about all this.
Yeah, go and apply for a mortgage. Go and apply for a mortgage and get it. And then you don't pay anything. After 3 months, the bank is going to go to the insurer and collect on the insurer. And then that's, just before 3 months ends, you're going to ask him about the insurance indemnity. Who is it? You see. So when they collect, you're going to know about it. And let them know. Since you've collected, don't come back to me ever again. Thank you very much. I don't want to see you again.
I've got a property that a few years ago we weren't able to have a mortgage. I don't live in it, I now rent it out. I don't want to put my tenants on the street, but they want to buy it from me. I believe there are charging orders on it.
Yeah, those are a pain in the ass.
You phone them registry and find out.
Yeah.
And can you get them removed?
Yeah, they're a pain in the ass, because there's a process that you have to do. The process we use is this. The charge has to be, what's the wording? Like I said, you have to have a genuine interest before you record a charge on anyone's property. These people have no genuine interest. You see, there's certain things we ask them. How is it that how was it liability created? That they can put their interest in your property. You see, that's it. So what we do is this. Normally, how they get a charge is they're going to get to a fake venue, maybe Northampton or one of these fake, or county courts.
It's better now, they go to the PO box up in Salford.
PO box, yeah, so your house is going to be shut down through a PO box. This is crazy, but it's anyway. So now they go to the PO box and make an application. If you don't challenge it properly, they're going to carry on because they're using statutory. It's called special proceedings. When you do special proceedings, it gives the party special privileges and some different rights from ordinary proceedings. What you want is ordinary proceedings under the common law. You see. So as soon as they start the proceeding, ask them that. Are you proceedings, special proceedings or ordinary proceedings? Because I cannot participate until I know. Now they're not going to tell you. As long as they don't tell me, I don't have to respond to you.
But these are already in place, so it's too late for me to do it in
Now,
process.
right, how to remove a charge? How we remove a charge, we ask for, because it's statutory, right? There's something called Charging Orders Act. That's what I use. There's certain stipulation that they have to follow before they put a charge. The main one is that they have to draft an affidavit or statement in support of the application. They never sign it. So what we do is we ask the claimant to produce the affidavit that they signed to place, to put into the court initially. And we ask the court as well for a copy of the application which the claimant put into the court, so you can compare them. The court never produces it, the claimant never produces it. So after you do your process 3 times, they write to the court, they say there's no record that this charge was lawfully placed. Because you've asked them to produce it, there is no record. If there's no record of the charge in the courts, and the claimant doesn't have the record of the charge, it doesn't exist. Now you're going to write to land registry with your evidence, ensure that there's no charge, please remove it. And when I talk about land registry, I'm not talking about the corporation. I'm talking about the chief conman, or whoever runs it. We deal with man, we don't deal with corporations. So we write the man doing business as chief executive of land registry, or whoever he is, his capacity. That's the man we're dealing with, so we go man to man.
You've got to be careful as well that there's 2 actual addresses. The one that you'll need is the one down in the temple.
Yes, well done, in the city of London, well done.
The temple address.
The one what?
In the temple.
The one where?
In the temple.
Temple address. The temple, everything is voodoo. Anyway, we won't get into voodoo stuff. We'll do, one day we'll do the talk so you can show you the symbols, how all these courts are actually churches, you see. It's craziness. They're pretending to be something they're not, you see. Even the House of Parliament, that's a church. Royal Court of Justice, that's a church. And you can see by the vice capacities at the entrance, you see. All of it.
What's called ecclesiastical.
Ecclesiastical. Everything is ecclesiastical. Office is an ecclesiastical term.
What's that mean?
Office.
No, ecclesiastical.
Religion. Religious background. Well, that's what they claim to get the pass from. That's why you have to place your hand on the Bible when you go to their venues. They're pretending to represent God, to give justice to the people. But it's opposite. They're here to represent the devil and take away your property. That's the illusion. So the devil has disguised himself as God and is pretending. But that's it. The devil doesn't come, I'm the devil. No. He's going to pretend, oh, I'm the good guy. But he's not. So they pretend to get their powers from God. Ecclesiastical. That's why they wear the costumes. Yeah, the costumes.
That's the 3 cities: Classical, Vatican, Finance, London, Military, Washington.
Yep. So it's a triangle again. So we have the three triangle. So you have
the Eye, Vatican there.
Vatican. Then you have London, and you have Washington D.C. So Vatican, that's the guy who does. This is duplicity. This is the Washington is the warmongers.
Yes.
And that's the culture. Politics.
No.
No, sorry. This is the culture, and this is the religion.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the politics. Yeah. So those are the 3. So London, City of London, Washington D.C., and Vatican. So those 3 work together, and then you mess around with everybody else. Because that's not Italy, that's not America, and that's not England. It's a separate state. The City of London is a separate state. They have their own police, they have their own flag, they have their own rules, everything. If you go up there, you see, what the hell, where am I? Yeah, but they don't use the blue on it. It's a simple, it's one cross, the Maltese cross, with a shield and 2 dragons. It's white, black and white. Okay. Any other questions? You had enough?
You didn't come into, you didn't study law. You didn't study law in the law universities.
No.
You just.
No, I did political science, the study. But it's not really what I'm doing now. I did sociology, political science, and English lit, like is in university when I was young. This stuff is, I'd say, because when we began this thing, I moved from London coming to Leeds. And the place that I landed, I found people that looked like me, but all they talk about is, moaning about what's happening too. They have no idea what the law is. So we started doing some classes about human rights, not human is a monster, but according to the Human Rights Act. So we started teaching that stuff. And from there it just picked up. And then when we did that for a while, then the police came after me and they put a whole bunch of stuff. And I've been fighting with them ever since. Yeah. So that's my involvement. So initially we began with the common law, believing that there's a common law. It's an illusion. They went to statutory. It's an illusion as well.
What?
The statutory law, the acts and all that nonsense. And they come to realize there's no statutes, there's no common law, everything is commerce. So that's why we always apply commercial rules now. We don't do anything else. Just commerce. That's it. You see, that's why you're charged. You're not indicted. You see, the charge is commerce. You charge you in a restaurant. If you eat in my restaurant, I'm going to charge you. The charge. What service the police enforcers given you so they can charge you with anything? Nothing, zero. So they have to indict you for a crime. You see, but because the crimes are so few, all these statutes are there to generate revenue. That's all. You see, and they use their venues to generate revenue. They don't call their places courts anymore. If you look at the paperwork, it's going to say venue. It's going to say event anyway. Yeah. So nothing is hidden. People talk about there's a secret society, there's stuff hidden. There's nothing hidden. Everything is out there. It's whether you choose to see it or not. When you go to court, what do you see on the left? Customers. Customers, who are the customers in a court of law? Who's a customer? Well, it's there. Our business hours as well. Look at it.
Anyone who buys it.
Yeah. Our business hours, they're in business, guys. They're in business of collecting your money, your sweat equity for themselves. That's all. All right? So, if you guys are happy, we're going to call it a day. I hope it's clear. I didn't rush through it too much. So, we'll do another mortgage talk again at some point, just to integrate what we've learned. But like I said, you have all these options. If you're being threatened by foreclosure, you have all these options. However, you have to respond. You have to respond. You cannot ignore them. If you respond very briefly, ask them to prove their claim. It doesn't matter. If it's mortgage, are you claiming that you have a recorded interest in the property? That's one sentence. Please give me a yes or no answer within 14 days. Okay, if I receive no answer from you, I'll accept that you have no recorded interest in my property. That's it. In that style. That's as simple as we keep it. So after 14 days we hear nothing, we certify that. We send him a certificate of fault, not default. Default is that we'll do language another day. Legalese. Okay, certificate of fault, saying that, you haven't responded, which means you've accepted my agreement, that you have no recorded interest in my property, you see. So when we do legalese, and you understand where the language, how they corrupt the language, is words like these, you see. A fault is a fault by itself, okay? That's a fault. When you put a D in front of it, what does that mean? You see, the negative word in front of fault, it's a suffix that changes the meaning, you see. That's two negatives. So when you put default in your words, in your sentences, meaning there is no fault. Right? So we don't do that. We put fault. Look for fault. But that's legalese anyway. That's a different.
What about when it's got the ED at the end as well?
ED as well. So that's why we carry on the language. So you have suffixes in English and prefix. So prefix is a word that's going to come before the main word. The suffix is going to end the word. So we check both of those. So if you have a suffix like that, my God, never ever use a word like that. That's a no contract word. D, number one, defaulted to start with, and an ED at the end, which is past tense. In a sentence, you're going to construct a sentence, past tense and future tense in the same paragraph. We write in now time jurisdiction. Our words don't have any of this stuff. No, because you want now time jurisdiction. In reality, there is no
past or present. Time is, this is it. It's always now, now, now. There is no tomorrow. You see, there is no yesterday. It's always now. We're always now, now, now. So it's now time jurisdiction. If I say I'm going to do something tomorrow, what's the old saying? Tomorrow never comes. It's true. Tomorrow I say I'll do it tomorrow. Don't worry about it. Tomorrow I'll do it tomorrow. Chill. I'll do it tomorrow. You can do that forever. But there is no tomorrow. It's now. You see, it's now time jurisdiction, now time. So at some point we'll do this syntaxing business and explain to you how the word or the language was corrupted a while back, or 400 years ago, by this lawless society, and that's what they've been using to con people. So that if you go to their venue and they use that word, defaulted, they won't tell you, they're just looking to each other. Yeah, okay. But if you go in there and use this word, you're finished. You see? Yeah. Because in their description, this is a monster with no inheritable rights to anything. And you go in and say, I want this and I want that and I want that. And they're going to presume that you know what this means. And they're going to say, fine, we're going to treat you like a human. Yeah. Case dismissed.
What about woman?
Woman is man as well. Yeah. God created man. Remember, ecclesiastical. God created man. Yeah. Man includes woman.
Yeah, like cow includes bull.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's where it is with mortgages. I think that's enough. And we'll call it a day. And we'll see you guys again.